Hello and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry and I'm here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box. And in that chat box, you can enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not. But either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. Guys, we are more than halfway through January, so it means we are getting deeper and deeper. I mean, I'm just kind of stepping in there a little bit, but we're getting deeper and deeper into the 2025 season. We'll be putting out pre-emergent before you know it, and lawns will be greening up, and life will be good. Life will be good. So excited, I'm really excited. We've had some cold snaps here in the state of Georgia, other parts of the country, some cold weather, but hopefully that will go away here soon. We can get on that warming trend and we can get on with business, right? All right. So as always, we're coming to you guys live on YouTube as our primary platform, but you can also get the show on Instagram and also on Facebook/Meta. So whichever you want to consume it, you can feel free to chime in. Whenever I'm showing content on YouTube, though, it doesn't always format nicely on Instagram. So if you want to see like pictures and want them to show up properly, you might want to come over to YouTube and hang out with us over here. So overall, let's see who's got in the show this evening, and let's get on with it. First up, we got Mr. Gene DeWolf. Gene DeWolf has entered the live stream. And the thing is, Gene sent some pictures in ahead of time. So Gene, first of all, plus 10 points for that. Thank you for not sending the pictures in the middle of the show, so I've got to scramble and try and get them on there. Thank you for sending them in a little bit early. I really appreciate it. All right, so his question is, he says, I bag each time I mow. Do you see any issue with this methodology? Actually, let's go back to this first part of it. He says, I come on Bermuda a quarter inch each month on days like today, Ackworth, Georgia, so that in the spring, I am at 1.5 inches, which is the minimum height for my rotary walker mower. I ended 2024 at 2.5 inches. So what you've been doing, Gene, if I'm hearing correctly, you start at 2.5 and you're working your way down slowly to 1.5 inches. And your question is, So you bag after each mow. Do I see any problems with that methodology? Bermuda really shines after each mow. See pictures. And thank you so much for the pictures, Gene. We'll show the folks here of what you're working with. And overall, looks good, man. Really good. I mean, you can tell that it is manicured even for dormant grass. It is looking the part. Overall, it's looking the part. So are there any issues with it? No, not at all. In many ways, you're just kind of saving yourself work for the, for a bit later in the season. If where you want to start the season is at 1.5 inches, there's not going to be a problem with that at all. Remember, I keep my lawn, my Bermuda lawn, at I close it down at the end of the season at 3/4 of an inch, so 0.75 inches, and that's where it stays until really probably going to be till the end of this month, early February, when I'll drop it down to 5/8, and that's where it'll be for the first part of the season. So you being at 1.5 inches, no issues at all. You're saving yourself a lot of headache. And the thing is, if you're gonna be putting out pre-emergent soon, Gene, you didn't ask this, but I'll talk about it anyway, is that if you're gonna be putting out pre-emergent a little bit earlier, so like the month of February timeframe, which is what I really recommend getting out a bit early, and you're planning to scalp, like getting all that done, getting some of that debris cleaned out a bit early is not going to hurt anything. It's going to allow that pre-emergent to get in the soil. It's going to help it work better. It's going to give you extended coverage. So overall, there's just tons of benefits to the approach you're taking. And, overall, I like it. If you have the time to do it, by all means, proceed. I really, really do like that. So good stuff, man. No issues at all. No issues at all. And Gene, I'm sure someone else had that question. So you know what? I'm going to save it so that we can make that into a short. So there you go. You'll be famous, right? You'll have your question will be up, and other people will be able to say, can I begin like working the height of my cut of my lawn down, like starting in January, so I'm good to go in February. So you're gonna be the person that helped answer that question. So hope that helps, sir. I really do appreciate the question. And if you need anything else, do let me know. You being in Ackworth, man. I used to be in Ackworth every weekend. There used to be probably still is. There's a model like RC park for model airplanes and helicopters there that I used to go to. Good stuff. All right, next up, we got Mr. Andrew Phillips. What's going on, Andrew? It's been a while, man. It's been a while since I've been on live, getting my sea legs under me for a great 2025. It's not going to be too much longer, man. Before you know it, we're going to be out there mowing and getting after it. And he says, hey, Ron and all. Hopefully you're doing well, Andrew. Now, guys, if I remember correctly, you're in Texas. So one thing about Andrew, guys, is once his lawn starts looking nice, because here's how he is. He's kind of particular. He won't really show pictures of it. He won't send pictures into the lawn is looking just the way he wants it till it's just so. But as far as a great stand of Bermuda grass, he always does a really good job. So looking forward to pictures at some point this season, whenever you deem the lawn is worthy to share with us. We want to definitely see that. So I have no doubt that you're going to be able to keep the lawn at the same standard you've been maintaining it at for a number of years. And great to see you back. And if I can help with anything, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, so we have Mr. Archie Amos, our first super chat of the evening. Thank you so much, Archie. I really do appreciate that.
Super chat received.
He says, evening, young man. Looking forward to an informative evening. All my supports have been ordered, and I'm ready to go. Evening to LG if he's in the house. You know how LG is, man. He's not. He like lurks. We have to do something special to get him to come out. We got to put like some Tango Bolero, or it's got to be like a giveaway, and he don't just come out for anything. You know what I mean? But thank you so much, Archie. I really do appreciate the super chat. You are the first one of the evening, which makes you the top show sponsor. So there you go. Your name in lights for whatever that means to you. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. I'm glad to hear that you're stocking up for this season, man. It's gonna be good, guys. It's gonna be really, really good. We got the new Fusillade in a smaller amount now, a smaller size now. Some of you guys were asking for that. We finally got that, which is great. Something else that we're going to hopefully should happen at some point in the season. It may not be till like a little bit later in the spring, but we'll see. But yeah, for overall, we're in a good spot. Really happy. We got D&D Lawn Care LLC in the house. He says, hello, Ron. Happy Friday, all. Hopefully you're doing well, D&D Lawn Care. Thanks for coming to take some time to hang out with us in the show tonight. And then next up, we got Mr. Jason Huddison, to where he says, checking in. Was going to do some lawn raking next week, but with the temperatures below 32 most of the week, I won't stress the grass. It's not a bad plan, Jason. Not a bad plan at all. And then as far as Jason commenting on what Gene did or his plan for bringing the height of cut down slowly, week over week, as he gets to the point where he's ready to apply pre-emergent, he says, Gene, I did the exact same thing when I was rotary cutting, worked beautifully, had no issues. Yeah, man, I gotta tell you, like that's a, I've played with different heights of cut with Bermuda grass going into dormancies just to see if there'd be any adverse effects when springtime came around, right? So I thought, because conventional wisdom always says, let your warm season lawn grow out in the fall, let it grow out so it'll be fine in the springtime. So I did several seasons testing different heights of cut as low as under half an inch going into dormancy, and wanted to see what would happen in the springtime. And there was really no issues. I'll tell you the one thing more so than the height of cut when you are going into dormancy that matters. Like that doesn't matter as much with Bermuda grass. The thing that does matter is if you are trying to push a bunch of growth later into the season, so you get into late October, November timeframe, and you're like, the green's there. I want to keep, make it hold on. You start throwing lots of N at it. Like that is where you can run into problems in the springtime. That's where you can start creating conditions where diseases like spring dead spot can become a problem. That is something that I've absolutely seen. But as far as trying different heights of cut, I've not gone below, much more below like half an inch. I was like 0.45 inches. So I guess maybe if you tuck it down to maybe a quarter of inch, maybe we might have some problems. But at heights of cut that most people, like 99% of folks, even people who are real mowing, are going to leave their lawn at in the fall, it doesn't really make a material difference. What I just tell folks for the most part is wherever you left it at the end of the season, if you want to leave it there, that's fine. If you want to, like now, what Gene's doing, you want to get into January, early February, and begin slowly working on how to cut down so you have less work as far as scalping goes when, the lawn starts greening up. That's also a plan too. It doesn't, I guess I'm trying to say is that it's fairly flexible. There's not like one correct answer that if you do this is the only way. And if you do anything different to that, you're going to have a problem. It's really what works for you, for your lifestyle, for the amount of time you have. But yeah, so the only thing I'd say that I am fairly adamant about is when you get into the later part of the fall, limit how much nitrogen you're putting into a Bermuda lawn, because you can create problems for yourself the next season. Outside of that, either do nothing or get out and turf rake the lawn if you want occasionally, cut it down, cut a quarter inch off every week or so if you want to, like what Gene's doing. Really your call, really your call. All right, next up is Mr. Robert Rainey. He says, good evening. What's going on, Robert? Thanks so much for taking some time to hang out with us tonight. Looks like I'm not sure where that was taken. It was a beautiful day in that picture in your avatar. Always got the good pictures of you on the golf course. We got Turf Nerd saying happy Friday. What's going on, Turf Nerd? Thanks so much for coming to hang out. And Vahid Nabi from the Great White North is saying, hey, everyone. What's going on, Vahid? Hope you're doing well. And guys, so part of what I wanted to have as a talking point for the show tonight is on that topic of pre-emergent. Like last week, we spoke about soil testing and like things you can be doing this time of year. And it bears repeating because if I wish I had a time machine, because if you'd follow this guidance as far as getting pre-emergent out at the right time, and by the right time, a bit early is okay, late is less good. If you follow that, like you would really, really reduce the amount of headache you're going to have as far as dealing with weeds come late spring and summertime when heat and rainfall really, really show up. So there's two things that I could say. If there's two things you could be doing this time of year, two things is get a soil test and apply your pre-emergent. In my neighborhood, like the professional services are already out with spraying pre-emergent. Like it was the second day, like January 2nd, I was out there, I was driving around the neighborhood, and the trucks were already out here rolling, putting out pre-emergent. And every day since then, when I've been driving through the neighborhood, either going to the gym or whatever, I'll see a truck putting out pre-emergent on the lawn. So it's not too early if you're in the Southeast. When it comes to pre-emergent, a bit early is better than late. Now, if you wanted to, get a little bit more extended coverage and you wanted to wait till, early February, that would be fine. But there's not a lot of value, in my opinion, till, going out every day and sticking a soil thermometer in the soil and saying, okay, 52.3, not quite warm enough. And then come back again the next day, 53.4. You're just trying to really get as close to whatever the average 5 days in the 50s to get your pre-emergent out. And really, a week or 2 or even 3 weeks early, like if you follow the professional services around here, a month even early is not really. It's not a bad thing. I mean, we're already on the second half of January already. So I'd say if you're in Georgia, anywhere in the Southeast, and you're planning on putting out pre-emergent, look to getting it done, maybe not at the end of this month, but early February, sometime in the month of February, prior to those conditions where weeds will begin to germinate. You're gonna have less headache with dealing with crabgrass, with spurge, with a lot of weeds that just become a headache to deal with as temperatures get warmer. So It's one of the best things you're going to be doing. And other than that is to get a soil test. So unless you already know what the nutrient deficiencies are in your soil, a soil test is a relatively inexpensive investment for getting the data you need to be able to choose a fertilizer that is the perfect fit for your lawn. So those are the two things I'd really say: pre-emergent and then also soil testing. Now, when it comes to pre-emergent, like you all see there in the chat, the pinned comment is we have prodiamine in a water dispersible granule form, which that 5-pound jug does, depending on the rate and the kind of grass you have. For Bermuda grass, it does like 2 acres. So you buy that jug, you're going to be good for several years. And if you're using that, if you're going with the liquid, I'd say it's a little bit, if you want to wait a little bit later, by a little bit later, I mean like mid-February, maybe the 3rd week of February before you applied it, like that would be all right. But if you're going out with, say, a granular product, like either dithiopyr, actually, I'll show you guys. I'm sitting here talking, you guys like wondering, what on earth is he talking about? He not showing like what it is. So let's do that. So you go to shop and then go to weed killer and then go to pre-emergent. So if you're doing this guy, right, which is prodiamine, which is in a water dispersible granules, little yellow pellets that you mix with water and then you spray on your lawn, like this, 2nd, 3rd week of February, fine. But if you're putting out like a granular product like Dimension or prodiamine, either one of these are excellent choices. Any of these 3 are excellent choices for spring pre-emergent. What I'm a fan of, and this is just me, and I'll give you my logic why I think this way, right? While you could put out the granular pre-emergent and then go scalp your lawn, if you think about it, like if some of the granules, like if most of them don't break down, if they don't actually get in the soil, if you don't do a really good job watering it, or if your lawn is really thick to where it has difficulty getting into the soil, like you get there and scalp afterwards, you might be picking up some of that prodiamine, and you're not gonna get as much out of it as far as control as you would if you did the opposite, which is if you're planning on scalping your lawn, if you're planning on lowering that height of cut, like what Gene is talking about, like what Jason is talking about, if you can begin working on that a little bit early, so maybe early February, mid-February, you start bring that how to cut down some to where you're in the neighborhood of where you're going to start the season, and then put out your granular prodiamine. In my opinion, that's a much better way to go, because at that point we're not going to be doing any heavy, any heavy cultural practices that are going to be pulling a bunch of debris out and potentially some of that granular prodiamine along with it. Liquid, I'm not as concerned about, because you apply that, water it in, and for the most part, it goes past the canopy and gets in the soil fairly easy. But it's the granular products that I'd say if you're planning on doing any kind of a cleanup, cut, kind of scalp, it would be good to get some of that done prior to putting it out. If you're not planning on scalping your lawn, which if any of you guys have cool season lawns, you're not going to really be doing that, then none of this applies to you. You can apply it whenever conditions are correct, which in my opinion, when soil temps are high 40s, low 50s, that's when I would get your prodiamine out. I would get that applied then, because then you're going to be well ahead of the curve as far as when crabgrass and other problem children germinate. So hopefully that helps. So we've gotten some questions around, timing, when should I apply it? Again, the most correct answer is prior to the 5-day average soil temperatures being in the mid 50s. But there's, like with everything in life, there's always nuance, right? Like depending on what product you're doing, and if you're planning on doing any scalping on your lawn, there are some things you can do that, in my opinion, optimize the application to where you get a bit more out of it. So hence why, if you look at our calendar, which if you're not seeing that, you go to resources and then lawn care schedule, which is free. You can, there's absolutely no cost to be able to look at this. And you go down to the application schedule, you'll see all those optional. I say in February, get that pre-scalp done. Get on that Gene or Jason life and get that how to cut down just a little bit before you get your pre-emergent out, and then you'll be good to go. So pre-scalp, if it applies to you, again, this is really only for warm season grasses like Bermuda and potentially zoysia. Get your soil test done, and then get your spring pre-emergent application. So if you do that, you're gonna be well on your way to having a weed-free lawn in the spring and summer, and then it's gonna reduce the need for more expensive options like Celsius, Certainty, Tenacity, all the post-emergent herbicides. If you look at the pricing, post-emergent herbicides, meaning the products you need to control weeds and not kill your grass after the fact, are much more expensive than a bag of prodiamine or even a 5-pound jug of prodiamine. So just something to keep in mind or consider if you're trying to keep your lawn weed-free. Just a small public PSA. All right, so next up, we got Robert Rainey. He says, that's a pretty good deal on a brand alternative. Yeah, man, yeah. I mean, it's put up by Syngenta as well, too, so that's also good. It's a product that they, the Resolute is like, it's Syngenta's, like Barricade is their I don't know, it's not like like their Primo, and then Resolute is a less expensive version. It's similar product. I mean, it's made by the same company. So and yeah, and the price is a bit better. So that's also good. All right, Joseph the Best says, where can we find your merch? I'm working on that. I mean, I'll tell you where you can currently find it. I'm working on getting some of it on the store. There's always something, man. There's so much stuff to do and so little time. But there's a link to the merch, and I'll get that for you. I'll get that here for you really quickly. Joseph. Where is it? There we go. All right. So if you go here, yep, this will take you to our current merch store. We'll update it at some point, but this is what we're currently rolling with. So if you go, let me actually put this in here so you can see it. Joseph, I see you're on Instagram. Right here, merch store. There you go. But yeah, we're gonna be doing some updates to this throughout at some point this season. It's not gonna be like right now because again, I got so much other stuff going on. But if you want, the hoodie or the strap action T-shirts or or a pullover, you can get those there. So hopefully that helps. So if you need anything else, let me know. And then next up, we have Mel Allen. Mel Allen is in the live stream, and they are saying, howdy, lawn care folks. Picked up 4 bags of carbonized PN. Can't wait to throw it down. Hopefully my pimento, St. Augustine, to help so it takes it to the next level. It will. I mean, it's just, carbonized PN is an excellent product. The folks at Miramichi Green that make carbonized PN, and also now the new granular carbonized PNG. So if you guys have not seen that, I think it was not released on last week's live stream, but now it is available. So if you go to shop and then either lawn fertilizer or biostimulants, this is the new hotness from Miramichi Green, carbonized PNG. You can see the prill size is quite a bit smaller, quite a bit finer than what we had with Essential G. You've got more biochar in this. So this is 45% biochar, 45% compost. And they've also been able through processing to eliminate some of the odor that, that was one, I wasn't considered a complaint, but it was a comment that was commonly made about Essential G, was that it had like a little fragrance to it, whereas carbonized PNG does not have that. I've got like a bag of it sitting here. It's been sitting in the house for a couple of weeks now, and I would not really do that with Essential G. Essential G, you'll smell it. Carbonized PNG, no fragrance at all. So if smell matters to you, matters to your neighbors, that's another advantage of a new product, I suppose, right? So that's that was recently reduced. And again, carbonized PN is just the non-prill version of that product. Like carbonized PN is the OG. That's the original product of Miramichi Green. Like that was their first real thing. And then all the other granular products that have come since then have basically been based largely on the technology that is in carbonized PN. All right, Mr. Ninos is in the house. Mr. Ninos Yokohana. He says, hello, at Ron Henry. I'm here, and I gave my like already. I appreciate that, sir. We got 85 folks in the live stream, only 35 likes. I know we can do better than this. You know what? And, Archie, we're going to try and get LG to come out. I'm going to take a sip of my water. We'll put some Tango Bolero on. Maybe it'll be enough. It's January, so he's probably cold up in the north, in the Midwest, so he might not come out even for that. But let me have a sip of my water while you guys hit the like button. It's a free way to support the channel and the content, so you guys can do that. I'd really appreciate it while I look for the next question. Alrighty. Greg Anderson. What are you working with there, Greg? Greg Anderson's in the live stream saying good evening. What's going on, Greg? Hopefully you're doing all right. And then Fresh Apples has entered the chat. He has a question about pre-emergent application to where he says, hey, Ron, when's the best time to apply pre-emergent and what rate for prodiamine 0.38? Okay, so the granular. So when it comes to the best timing, the most correct answer to this question, because depending on where you are in the country, if you're in New York, it's obviously not going to be like February timeframe. The most correct answer to the question, Fresh Apples, is before, not when, before the average 5-day soil temperatures are in the mid 50s, because that way you get the pre-emergent in the soil prior to conditions being correct for the weeds that we're trying to avoid growing in our lawn germinating, right? So that's why you want to get it done a bit early. So again, for me, high 40s, low 50s, that's a great time. If you're in the Southeast United States, you're in Georgia, I'd say, early to mid February, if you're really trying to get ahead of it, is going to be fine. You're going to be ahead doing just that. And that's what I've done for years and years and years, and I've had great results with it. As far as the rate for the prodiamine 0.38, it depends on, I'm not sure which product you're talking about. If you're talking about the one that we carry, I will tell you really quickly. It's let me see the bag. It's 50-pound bag. It covers, yeah, it's like 3 pounds and change per thousand is what it looks like. Yeah, so 4 pounds per thousand, just under 4 pounds per thousand is what it calls for. Where you can find that fresh apples, if you go to the golf course lawn store, you look at prodiamine, which we have here, and you scroll down. We have for every product on here, every single one, we have a how to use section, with the exception of the Academy, because there's not really a use. I mean, you just use that. You just log into the course for that one. But for everything else, there's a how to use section. I mean, under here, you'll see we'll have either spreader settings, some guidance around applying to get a good result with it. And for the prodiamine, the 0.38, the product you're talking about, 3.9 pounds per thousand, right? 4 pounds per thousand. And it gives you the spreader settings for those. And also if you got a Scott spreader, those are also listed here as well. So you're covered regardless of what you got. You got what's on the bag, and you also got the extra spreader settings for some of your more consumer grade spreaders that won't necessarily be on the product label. So hopefully that helps, sir. Before the mid 50s and 4 pounds per thousand, assuming you're using our product. That's the rate you're gonna want to be at. And of course, be sure to water it in after application, because prodiamine sitting just on the top of your lawn does not do a whole lot. You got to make sure you water it in properly so it can get in. So we'll be good to go. All right, Robert Rainey says, wait, no air monitors this show? Yeah, man. So something new I tried out, and with the mixer that I'm using, it's feature that's been in it for a while. I just finally turned it on. And I noticed it in the live stream, there's not been any real feedback, is unless I've got a guest on the show. Like if I like the show when I had Devon on, I should have had my ears in, my monitors. And if you listen to that one really carefully, you might hear a slight echo in that when I'm talking. But tonight, without it, there's really no problem at all. So with the device that I use that my mic runs into and does all the audio processing, I don't necessarily need to have the monitors. It's really only for if I'm talking to someone else. So if I have an interview going on, then I need to have the monitors. So we'll see how it works. You have to let me know, man. I mean, last week, it's only now you're noticing it. So last week I didn't have them in either. The one for Devon show I did not have them in, and I needed to, because I could hear a slight echo in that one. But yeah, that's the thing, man. That's the whole reasoning behind it. You see, you pay attention to all the details, Robert. I gotta start moving things around slowly in the back here and see if you guys notice anything that's different, right? All right, Darren Proctor is in the house, Mr. Barbecue himself. He says, happy Friday, everyone. Ocean Springs, Mississippi, for a barbecue event, taking photos this time. Hit the like button. I appreciate that, Darren. And for those of you guys don't know, Darren, I don't know if you have a website or whatever, man, but Darren is, a couple times a year, he'll send me some rubs or whatever, because I guess he rolls around, does like barbecue competitions, and he is, with what he deals with barbecues, how we are with our real mowers. You got like a barbecue with like rims on it and all kind. It's crazy, chromed out and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm not sure if he has a website or whatever, but he has access to some really good rubs if you're someone that likes to grill. If you don't, then not so much. But he's a really good guy. All right, Andrew Phillips says, "Yep, Texas. Yep, I thought so." All right, Mizon is up next. He says, "Wait up, Ron. Is it okay to pull weeds out of the lawn when it is dormant?" Sure. Yeah, you can always pull weeds. There are some weeds that doing that is less effective. Like, for example, if you were to go after like crabgrass, that can work fairly well. Something like spurge, mixed results, because spurge tends to break really easy, has a really center, like a taproot that makes it difficult to, that if you pull it won't just grow back. What's another one? Sedges, pulling sedges, like nut sedge, not really. I mean, you pull them and they'll be gone for a while, but they'll come right back. So For some weeds, pulling them is an effective approach. For others, using a selective herbicide of some sort is a better way to go. But you can do it on a dormant lawn if you want to. I mean, the worst thing is going to happen is they're just going to come back. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just, it's not like, it's just that if you pull the weed, don't think that it's not going to eventually resurface. That's the only thing you have to be concerned about, my son. You're not going to hurt anything though. So if you want to go out and pull weeds in your lawn, feel free. No problem at all. That is one way to absolutely ensure that you're not going to damage your lawn through an over application of herbicides or anything like that, right? So always good. All right. Let's see. He says, Ron, my buddy has a sod farm. Is $165 per pallet for Tifway 419 a good deal? Thanks for all the great info. 500 square foot pallets, Athens, Georgia. I would think so. Trent. That sounds pretty good. Again, I have not bought Bermuda sod in a while. I've been pricing Georgia sod, and I'll tell you what, they are proud of that. I mean, you can't get Xeon really for it's looking like $500-600, sometimes a little bit more than that for a pallet of it. But 165 for Tifway doesn't sound too bad. Doesn't sound too bad at all. That sounds like a pretty reasonable price to me. So yeah, if you're looking for some sod, you're gonna redo your lawn, then I guess and you're going with Tifway 419, then by all means, that's not a bad price compared to say Zoysia. Zoysia's a lot more expensive. They are proud of it. All right. Next up, we got Jared George. He says, Ron, I'm running into an issue with my sprayer, quite possibly not being operational in time to spray prodiamine. I mean, you're a pretty resourceful guy, Jared. You can't get around that. He says, how do you feel about Graner Dimension as an alternative? It's what I have on hand. I think Graner Dimension will be just fine. I think as long as you apply it at the correct rates and you water it in, you can be just fine. I mean, again, realistically, guys, when you look at, let me go back here and I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Like if you look at this, the pre-emergents that are here, the prodiamines that are here, right? So this, actually, let me go back to look at pre-emergents, right? So we have all of them. Okay. So yeah, spectacle, dimension, prodiamine, and prodiamine in a water dispersal granule. Like any of these, when they are applied correctly at the correct rates, are going to produce a good result. They're going to produce a good result. You're not gonna have a problem. The benefits of liquid versus granular. When it comes to, let's do it this way. Ease of application for most people they would consider a granular product easier because most folks have a broadcast spreader of some sort in their garage, and it's a lot less intimidating to just, set the spreader setting, pour some of the product in and go walk the lawn and put it out, right? So for most people, they consider granular easier in that regard because there's as long as the spreader is calibrated properly, you're going to be pretty much in the ballpark as far as getting a good result. Now, liquid prodiamine, the benefits to that are tighter control over application rate. So say you wanted to do a split application, right? Like say you didn't want to only apply pre-emergent one time in the season. You wanted to do an application now, and then probably say late March, early April, you want to do another one. You want to make sure that you're nailing, as far as your rates go, you really want to be on point. With a water dispersible granule product, like it's much easier to do that because you have a scale. If you're going out, let's say for Bermuda grass, it's 3.2 ounces over 4,000 square feet. So if say you're going to cut that in half, it'd be 1.6 ounces now over 4,000 square feet, and another 1.6 ounces in say late March, early April timeframe. That's really easy to do and do consistently with a liquid product versus a granular. But that's really the big thing. That's probably where the advantages end. Other than that, you can also mix post-emergent herbicides along with it. So let's say, Jared, now this is not you. I'm just using an example to someone else, right? I know your lawn is weed-free, but let's just say you happen to have some henbit, some other weeds that are in the lawn, or maybe some poa annua that happen to break through, and you want to get your pre-emergent out, and you also want to take care of those weeds at the same time. Now, this is where liquids really shine because you could do your liquid pre-emergent, and you can also put some, you got worms in grass, you put some certainty in the tank, knock that out. If you had some, for the broadleaf, you can put some Celsius in the tank. So you can literally put this, along with your prodiamine in the tank, spray it all at once, and, kill two birds with one stone. It just saves you a lot of time. So as far as being able to have tighter control over rates, and being able to make, I guess more of like custom concoctions for based on what you need in the lawn, liquids are superior. But if all you care about is weed prevention, as long as they're applied properly, granular versus liquid, they're going to be the same. The results are going to be excellent. Just as long as, again, you water them in, you're going to be just fine. So if you got dimension in granular form, that's what I would roll with. Run what you brung, man. Kind of when you go to the drag strip, right? Run what you got. Run what you got. Don't stress about it. In other words, given the option, let's play this out. Given the option of applying a granular dimension in granular form, or not doing pre-emergent at all because your sprayer is down 1,000 times and twice on Sunday, the granular dimension is going to be a better choice. Again, the liquid is if you're trying to mix other products in with it, or you're trying to have really tight control of application rates, you're trying to do a split application program, then there's some advantages to rolling with the liquids. But again, it's 6 half a dozen. I mean, all of these work. I've done. I'm trying to think. I've used all of these by themselves, and I've gotten great results with all of them in the forms that they are now. And I've done mixes with them, and I've also gotten great results that way too. So it's not like, do not think that if you opt for a granular pre-emergent, that somehow you're committing this cardinal sin. That, as far as like lawn care nerd, like you got to go down a notch because you're not using liquid, you're not there mixing up your stuff with your scale. It's still going to work well, man. Just as long as you apply it properly and you water it in, you're going to be just fine. The only guidance that I would say is if you have a warm season lawn, like a Bermuda lawn, and you're planning to scalp the lawn prior to the season starting, what I am a fan of doing is getting some of that done prior to putting out your granular prodiamine. Now, if you're doing a liquid product, doesn't really matter because it's going to go right past it. But if you're doing a granular, what you would not want to do is go put out granular prodiamine and then go out 2-3 weeks later and then scalp the lawn. If all of it didn't get down into the soil, now you're pulling out some of your pre-emergent, and that will negatively affect your results. So that's the only caveat. If you're really trying to optimize things, that's probably not you. So put out your dimension, man, and water it in and be in good shape for next season. Absolutely apply your pre-emergent. I always tell folks that. Do not, when in doubt, apply your pre-emergent. All right, next up, we have Devon. He had entered the live stream. Now, guys, Devon, it's one thing. I did not accurately introduce Devon on the live stream when he was on here a couple of weeks ago. So he is the superintendent at the club at Flying Horse out of Colorado Springs. We just got right into the live stream, and I didn't do a proper introduction. So, every now and then when he has time, he graces us with his presence on the show, and we are very appreciative of that. So tonight he's in here hanging out. He says, "What's up, Ron? Looking forward to some good turf talk. Arctic blast getting ready to hit us here in Colorado for the next 4 days. Highs in the single digits and lows in the negative. What, man? Listen, we got a lot of land in Georgia. If you want to move down, we got like amazing stands of turf grass. There's golf courses all over the place. We don't have that kind of craziness you're talking about there. Like I think the last time we had temperatures in the teens was not this past winter, and not the last one. I think it was like 22 to 23 is when we had like that one winter that was really crazy cold. Like we don't have that. So unless you just really like and enjoy that suffering, I mean, you can move down there again. There's lots of great places to live in Georgia. Just a thought. All right, and you'd be closer to Alabama. You're an Alabama fan, right? I mean, we have to work on you on that. We have to move you over to Bulldogs. But I mean, overall, lots of reasons to live in Georgia. Augusta Nationals. All right. Tom Hoffman is chiming in here from Facebook, from Meta. He's in the live stream. He says, "Hey, Ron, still awfully messy here in the Pacific Northwest, but hopefully in the next few weeks, I'll be able to get out and give a quick cut to clean it up." Yeah, man. I mean, whenever you can get around to do that, that makes sense. The big thing is, you don't want to get out there and have a lawn that's really muddy, waterlogged, and you don't put some heavy equipment on it, because then you're just really doing a lot more damage that you're going to have to fix later on in the season anyway, right? You don't want to go out there and put a bunch of ruts in it. From a safety standpoint, you don't want to take a chance of slipping and injuring yourself. So yeah, I mean, waiting a day, a two, a week, whatever it takes for it to dry out properly, and then go out and mow it, I am a fan of. So by all means, sounds like a good plan to me. The Alexander Lee hath entered the chat. He says, "Good evening, lawn ladies and gents." What's going on, Alex? Hopefully you're doing all right, sir. Hope you're doing good, man. We're getting close, man. We're getting close, Alex. We're getting close. You got to get ready for your pre-emergent, man. It's gonna be a thing here soon. And then next up we have Miss Jocelyn Y. Buckley. She has a question about her plan for the season, where she says, "Good evening, Ron. I plan to level With Essential G, fertilize and aerate my Kentucky bluegrass. What is the preferred order of doing this? Okay, so let's unpack a few things here. So using Essential G as part of a leveling project, great idea. But leveling along with Essential G, not really a thing. Remember, Essential G is it's compost, biochar, a bunch of other stuff. It doesn't really have any sand in it. So as far as a way to fill in low areas in a lawn to add some structure and get rid of ruts, not the correct product for doing that. So what I would say is, as far as your process goes, is you got some Essential G, you got fertilizer, you got aeration, you got a Kentucky bluegrass lawn. How do you want to make this as good as possible as part of a leveling project? I would start with aerating it, and you want to do that. You want to wait till the time when the lawn is actively growing. So wherever you are in the country, maybe it's going to be, you have a cool season lawn, so maybe it's going to be like late March, maybe early April, maybe the right time for you. So you do your aeration, and then I would put out, while the lawn is aerated, while it's core aerated, and it's all opened up, you got holes punched all through it. That is when I would put out your Essential G, and I would also fertilize, at the appropriate rates for your particular type of grass. And then is when you would put your sand or your sand compost blend, whatever you're using, over all of that. Reason being is this: you think about Essential G and fertilizer, like granular fertilizer, they need to get into the soil to be able to work. Like fertilizer, at least granular fertilizer anyway, needs to be in the soil for the healthy bugs, the microbes, to break it down and make it available, make the nutrients available for the plant, for the grass to be able to use it. And Essential G, its benefits are, helping your fertilizer last longer because the biochar that's in it holds on to some of that fertilizer. So as far as it like leaching or moving through the soil, like you lose less nutrient when you're using Essential G or any biostimulant with biochar in it, which is why I'm a huge fan of that. So you want to get those applied after core aeration, but ideally before leveling. Now, if you went out there and you core aerated and you level the lawn, and then you put out Essential G and fertilizer on top of the sand that you just put out, is it still going to work? Yes, but it just, from a standpoint of just optimal, like it makes sense based on what I'm describing to you that, while you got the entire lawn, it's opened up. It's almost like, what it is? It's almost like if you're a lady, you probably go out and get like facials, get your skin, get exfoliation done. Like when you get that done, when you've got all like the dead skin scrubbed away and everything, now you're in a position where your skin can accept lotions or whatever you're trying to put on to really get the most out of it. Think of core aeration in many ways that way, right? Like your lawn is compacted. When you core aerate it, it's almost like an exfoliation. It's you're opening up cores for air, water, nutrient, anything that you're supplementing or putting into the soil. Like it's all going to work that much better. So you want to do that you want to apply those after core aeration, but ideally before putting a bunch of sand or whatever you're using to level the lawn on it. So hope that helps, Jocelyn. Great question. Looks like you got a good plan there. And really, I just say, as far as timing, whenever you're out there, whenever the lawn is really woken up, you're mowing it regularly, that is when the timing is good for you to get out there and do your leveling work. So here in Georgia, in April, mid to late April timeframe, May is a good time to do a leveling project. With you having a cool season lawn, you can probably get going a little bit earlier. So, but it really depends on where you are in the country and what weather is like in your area as we get further into late winter, early springtime. So, great question. All right, next up is Oconee Jacket. He says, I vote chill out in January and February as far as cutting goes. Just keep it clean and nice. Enjoy and get ready to crank it up late February and March. That's also an option too, Oconee Jacket. I feel you. There's folks that also will do that as well. There's nothing wrong with that. The big thing I'd say to that is that if you're using a granular pre-emergent, I am still a fan of getting some of the cleanup done a bit earlier. Is it strictly necessary? No. But again, you're on a live stream, a lawn care live stream on a Friday night. We're talking about turf grass. So as far as like optimizing things and getting them as tight as possible, that's what this is about. So that's why I try and give you little tips, small little things that will add up to it. I feel a better result. All right. Mars Bead has entered the chat. She says, happy Friday, everyone. What's going on, Mars Bead? Hopefully you are doing well. Thanks for taking the time to come hang out with us. Appreciate you as always. And I know I think you're Tennessee or somewhere. You're kind of in the South, right? You're South-ish. So I appreciate you come out and say hello. Hopefully your fescue lawn is doing okay. All right, next up we have Greg Anderson. Greg Anderson is the end of the live stream. He says, Ron, what is the best time for pre-emergent in Northwest Tennessee? I did a soil test the end of last season. So the absolute best time, Greg, is just before the average 5-day soil temps are in the mid 50s. So when you get out there and you look, if you have access to my soil, one cool thing is in their portal, because you put your address in there, they will know in your area like what the average soil temps are. Like that's some data they give you in that. You can also look at the tool that Syngenta puts out. I think Greencast Online, like they have soil temperatures they track all over the country, so you could use that. But prior to soil temps being in the mid 50s, so again, high 40s, low 50s, the average 5 days there, that's when you're going to want to get out your pre-emergent. Here in Georgia, you're already applying pre-emergent. Like the lawn care services are already out doing it. I'm probably going to wait till later on the end of this month, early February, to get mine out. But yeah, I mean, you being in Northwest Tennessee, you're quite a bit colder further north than we are. So I'd say in your case, if you're trying to be really conservative and even getting it out a bit early, if you waited till later on in February, like maybe 3rd, 4th week of February, you're going to be just fine. So yeah, that's sounds like a good plan, sir. Like I always tell folks prior to the mid 50s, or the average 5-day being the mid 50s, because it changes depending on where you are in the country, right? Like in Florida, like there's like they sometimes some folks put out pre-emergent quarterly, right? Because it doesn't really, depending on where you are in Florida, it doesn't really ever get that cold to where weeds won't be a problem. But if you're here, we can get by with pre-emergent really just twice a year, spring and fall, and it works well. So hopefully that helps, sir. You said the grass is a hybrid. You said Texas, I guess Texas tall fescue. I've not heard of that one. I've heard turf type tall fescue. I've never heard of Texas tall fescue, but I'm guessing that's the thing. But yeah, get your pre-emergent out before the average 5-day soil temperatures are in the mid 50s. Given where you are, it's going to be sometime in February is what I would say. You're probably going to be ahead of the curve if you do it then. All right. True Gator fan says, happy Friday, Ron. Can you tell me the difference between Let's Go 007 and Let's Go 004? I don't know what else is in those products, True Gator fan, just based on the analysis. The other, like the 4 product has 3% less potassium in it than the 007, but I don't know what else are in the product. So it's a little bit less potassium in the 004, and you'd have to look at the label to see, like in other words, if both those are pre-emergent products, you'd have to look at the amount of active ingredient in each of them, and like that would be a difference. But realistically, if you just follow the label, you're going to get a good result as long as you put out the correct number, the correct amount of product, to the ground per 1,000 square feet, and you water it in. But just looking at, without knowing anything else, I'm not really familiar with those products. One of them I imagine is a pre-emergent. The other one I'm not familiar with, but at any rate, just looking at them, like one has got 3% less potassium, and if they're both pre-emergents, you have to look at the amount of active ingredient, as I imagine what the difference is going to be. But for all intents and purposes, doesn't really matter, because as long as you apply it per the label rates and water it in, you're going to get a good result. All right. Luke B is up next. He says, happy New Year and Strap Action Gang. Ron, what's a good, best, I guess, pre-emergent for lawn with all species of weeds, Bermuda grass, in Snellville, Georgia? Okay. Well, a couple things, Luke. Pre-emergent isn't going to do a whole lot for the weeds that are already in your lawn. It will do a lot to help prevent new weeds. Now, as far as what will work on a Bermuda lawn, really everything that we carry here on the store, this time of year, Spectacle Flow Nut will be my first choice, but Dimension, Prodiamine, or Prodiamine in water dispersal granule form, any of these, like these 3 guys, the 2 granulars and this one, are good on all grass types. So cool season grass and warm season grass, no problem at all there. Spectacle Flow is really only for warm season turf grass. So you could use it in the spring if you wanted to, but you have to be careful as far as the rate goes, because it can delay green up a little bit if you get a little bit too heavy-handed as far as the rate goes to Spectacle. So what I'm a fan of doing and telling folks is to do Prodiamine or Dimension in the spring, or Prodiamine or dithiopyr in the spring, and then do Spectacle in the fall. That is what most services around here do anyway. It also allows you to rotate your pre-emergent, which is kind of nice. And yeah, so as far as pre-emergents go, really any of the ones that we carry on the Golf Course Lawn Store are going to work just fine for you. Now, as far as the weeds you currently have in your lawn, that's a different matter, because pre-emergent is not going to do a whole lot against that. If you are looking to get rid of them, what you would do, depending on the kind of weed, sounds like you got a salad bowl going on, but if you go to shop, you go to Weed Killer, we have a kit that has Celsius, Certainty, dye, and surfactant. As far as like, if you had to buy one thing to be able to do a great job cleaning up the majority of the weeds you're going to ever encounter in a warm season lawn, this would be it. Because Celsius is going to handle your broadleaf weeds, Certainty is going to handle your sedges and Poa annua. The surfactant and dye are going to help them work better and see where you sprayed respectively. So really, you got a bunch of weeds, you're trying to get rid of them, like this is really what you need. Pre-emergent is really, as the name kind of says, like you need it in the soil prior to the weeds emerging, prior to them start growing. So the time for you to have prevented the weeds that you're seeing in your lawn now would have been in the fall. You know what I mean? So the weeds you're seeing that are growing in now, even though they're there now, you're seeing them now, they started months ago. So it's really in September-ish timeframe is when you would have done a fall pre-emergent, and that would have done a lot to help prevent the weeds that you're seeing in your lawn. So if you want to get rid of the weeds you got now, you need this. And if you want to prevent weeds in the spring and summer, like your crabgrass, your spurge, your weeds that tend to grow when temperatures are warmer, then you need a post-emergent herbicide like the Celsius Certainty Kit. So I will give you links to both, Luke, so you will be all squared away. The nice thing about the kit is that, you know, it's going to last you a long time. For most residential lawns, you're going to have that, and you're going to be good for years. So, so here you go. That's the post-emergent herbicides. And then as far as your pre-emergent goes, the link above, there's the pinned comment in the live stream will work for you. Or if you want granular options, I will hook you up. So here you go for pre-emergent. All right. So you'll be good to go. You will have it all, man. So again, this is, and the thing I'll tell you to do, one thing I'll tell you as well, Luke, is like, take the fact that you're dealing with weeds in your lawn now as like, yes, it's no fun, but say, you know what, I don't want to be like, set the goal now of saying, I don't want to be in this position again this time next year. So using a post-emergent herbicide kit like the Celsius Certainty Kit that we have is a great idea. And then putting out your spring pre-emergent, like I'm not sure where you are on the yeah, you're in Snellville. Yeah. So over the next couple of weeks, also a good plan. And then in the fall, don't forget to do your fall pre-emergent. Like really early September timeframe is a good time to get your spectacle flow out. And then you're just, it's a lot of the heavy lifting is going to be done. Like you're not going to be dealing with what you're dealing with now this time next year if you follow that. If you listen to nothing else I tell you, apply pre-emergent in a few weeks, and then in the fall, apply your fall pre-emergent. I'm a big fan of spectacle if you got a warm season lawn, and then a lot of the heavy lifting again is done. You're not going to really have to fight with weeds nearly as much as you are now. So hopefully that helps, sir. All right, next up we got Sure Betty says, Spring Can Waving. Hopefully it's going on, Sure Betty. Appreciate you stopping by to say hello. And then Pizinkle says, I'd rather use Carbon Pro G. Yeah, I mean, we got to remember that you're having to go pick that up locally, whereas, you know, the products that we carry on the store are shipped to your door. So some of it is, what is your time worth, right? There's also that too. You can just say click, 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 and it just shows up at your door, which is some folks are more than happy to do. The Trilla from Manila is in the house. Says, hey, Ron, and happy Friday, everyone. What's going on, to Trilla? Hopefully you're doing all right. And then It's Me 2017 says, can you please see my soil test I emailed? I don't understand why this is this way. I may have to look at it after the show. It's Me. I mean, I'm not, let me see what you got here. Yeah, so I'm looking, I might be able to get it up here in the live stream. Let me see if I can make this happen, man. Again, it's way easier if you guys get these to me prior to the show starting, but you know what? I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my level best and see if I can help you out here. Okay, so let's see here. So here's a soil test. Let's see, he's got two samples, or he's comparing two tests is what it looks like. And this is what he's working with. All right, so yeah, so all your macros other than phosphorus are low. So whatever you're putting in the lawn as far as the amount of nitrogen and potassium, whatever fertilizer you're using, there wasn't enough of that. Your micronutrients, again, across the board are fairly low. So yeah, it's just whatever you're using and the rate at which you were using just didn't really materially bring the levels up from what I'm seeing here. Well, good news is your pH looks like it's in good shape, so that's good, which is really the harder thing to fix. So for a soil test that looks like this, what I would tell you It's Me 2017. If you said, hey, Ron, what would you recommend to fix this? What I would do is this. This is what I would go with. So I would open up the season. I'd open up the season with the 12-0-24. So you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer. I'd go with something with higher potassium in it. So this guy, we put this out at 4 to 5 pounds per thousand is what I would do. This again, because your phosphorus looks pretty good, there's no need to really add much more of that. So I would go with this to start, and then I would transition to Humic Max throughout the season. So these guys, this is what I'd apply monthly at half a pound per 1,000 square feet, and that's going to help bring those levels up. If all you're going to be doing is granular fertilizer, you can increase the rate a little bit to like 0.7, 0.8 pounds per thousand. There are rates on there are spreader settings on the bag to allow you to be able to do that. So that is going to help address your macronutrient problem. For your micros, the 12-0-24 has some micronutrient in it, but I'd say we'd also want to use this, something like this, right? Which is our liquid micronutrient, which has all of them. It's got your iron, zinc, copper, molybdenum, manganese. It's got all of them in there. So, and it's got 2% iron, which everyone loves because it helps produce a nice deep green color. Between this and the granular fertilizers that I mentioned, the 12-0-24 and then Humic Max throughout the season, you're going to be in a really good spot. This is laid out to some extent on our calendar, on our schedule. If you look here, like in March, like the first fertilizer that I recommend you open up with is the 12-0-24, the one I was just telling you about, right? And then depending on what your soil test results say, in your case, you don't need phosphorus, so Humic Max would be appropriate. And then, so you would just roll with that every month. Yep, so Humic Max, 3 pounds per thousand, and that would just be every month, at the beginning of every month, and you're going to be in a good spot. And then the liquid that I was recommending for you, you would do that at 6 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So if you have a backpack sprayer, so you have 4-gallon sprayer, you use a total of 24 ounces in 4 gallons of water, spray that over 4,000 square feet, and have your neighbors asking you, hey man, your lawn did not used to look so good. What are you doing? And you'd be able to tell them, hey, this is my trick. So here are the products I was telling you about. So there is thing 1. This is thing 2. And then this is thing micronutrient. So you have all 3 of these and you should be in a good spot. Now, if you wanted to supplement with a liquid fertilizer that has macronutrient in it, like this, like our 22-3 product, you absolutely could do that. But you have to decide whether or not you're going to be doing an all granular program or you're going to be doing what I really recommend and I think produces better results, which is a spoon feeding program that's a blend of granular and liquid fertilizers. If you're going that route, it's me, you would apply Humic Max or any of the fertilizers at the rate that has you putting out half a pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet, and then you would spray the liquid fertilizer, like you could mix these two together and spray them. You'd spray these 2 guys every 2 weeks at the low rate, and then you're not really gonna, the lawn's gonna look incredible. Like you're not really gonna have a problem with that. And then it should be reflected also in your soil test results. If you were to go out and pull cores in, say, I don't know, June or so, like the late May, early June, you should see the levels, the nutrient levels moving up quite nicely. So hopefully that helps. It just looks like whatever fertilizer you're using, you didn't, I mean, I'll tell you have some listed here. Probably the rates just weren't where they needed to be to get to have the levels come up. But what I just linked to you will help address those problems. So hope that helps. All right, Dwayne T hath entered the chat and he says, I live in upstate South Carolina and have common Bermuda. I plan on leveling, aerating, and pre-emergent. When and in what order to do these tasks? Thank you for the advice. Okay, great question, Dwayne. So they're going to be done at different times a year. The pre-emergent, even though you mentioned that last, we're going to be doing that earlier in the season. You're in upstate South Carolina, so for your weather is similar to what we have here in Northeast Georgia. So for your pre-emergent, I would say the February time frame is going to be a good time to get that done. You're going to be ahead of the curve a little bit. You're going to have it in the soil prior to conditions being such that weeds will begin germinating. So that would be what I'd say. So for your pre-emergent, February time frame would be just fine. And then as far as leveling, you're going to want to wait until you're mowing the lawn regularly. So it's out of dormancy, you're mowing it regularly. Like, it's, for the most part, it's, fully woken up. And that's when you're going to want to go out and do your leveling job. So for most people, that sounds like late April, early May timeframe. Really, the window for leveling is from May all the way through into early August. So you've got a pretty big window there. The reason to do it earlier in the season is, frankly, it's just less, it's not as hot. You're going to have more time to enjoy the lawn. And if you decide to do more touch-up work, so say you do a leveling in, say, May, and you say, you know what, this looks pretty good, but there's a few areas here I can go and just touch that up a little bit more. You're going to have this, you have time to do it, right? So you could do one in like May, and then if you wanted to go back in, June timeframe, July timeframe, you could do another, a lighter leveling, and you're still going to be just fine. You're still going to have plenty of season left to do those tasks. So to answer your question in a nutshell, pre-emergent in February, and then leveling in late April, May timeframe is when I would look at doing that. And as far as the tasks, you would want to aerate, put out any kind of fertilizer or biostimulants you're using, and then after you've applied those products after aeration is when you would level. And then you'd be good to go. All that's left to do is just wait and enjoy your newly leveled lawn. So appreciate you chiming in, sir, taking the time to come by and say hey and ask a question. And if you need anything else, definitely let me know. I really do appreciate you being part of the show. Appreciate you being part of the show. Yeah, man. So South Carolina, you're, again, similar temperatures and conditions to us. So you're, again, February and then April timeframe is May timeframe is really going to be good for leveling. All right, Andre Taylor is up in the house. He says, "Evening, Ron. Happy Friday. What's going on, Andre?" And then next we have the one, the only, Mr. Darrow Ferro Bermuda's in the live stream. He says, "What's up, Ron? Hope all is well. Thanks for the link. You are very, very welcome, Darrow Ferro Bermuda Lawn." Yeah, man. So what Darrow's, this is not going to really apply to most of the folks in the live stream, but we've had some questions about starting like an affiliate program. So folks that are like, YouTubers or content creators, and they're looking for a way to recommend products in the golf course lawn store and make a little bit of money. Then that's something that we've been working on, and we finally got it set up. So if you are a content creator, again, it's not just for like the general public or whatever. It's for, you have to be someone that you have like a blog that's related to lawn care, or you're regularly putting out YouTube content on lawn care. Reach out to us reach out to us. I'll get it. You can just send it to me. It'll eventually get to me anyway. Go to ron@golfcourselawn.com and send me an email and just ask about the affiliate program, and I'll let you know what it is all about. It's so yeah, for any of you guys that are in that or want to get in that, like Darryl, by all means, feel free to reach out and let me know. Would like to get some good creators that are looking to promote what I think are the best lawn care products for the DIY community out to a broader audience. All right, next up we got It's Me 2017. He says, "I applied Prediamine twice last year. I hit the max rate. What would happen if I use it again this upcoming season?" So we're in a new season now. It's Me 2017. So you can do it again now if you want to. Here's what I would say. I am a fan, though, of rotating pre-emergence between spring and fall. So if your budget will support it, what I would say is use dithiopyr or prodiamine in the spring, so Dimension or Barricade in the springtime, and then in the fall, go to Spectacle Flow. Because for a warm season lawn, that is going to be the bee's knees. That's going to be a really good program, and you're not going to have a lot of weed problems in your lawn. And then it gives you a lot of leeway, right? Because then if you're applying prodiamine as your only pre-emergent, you've got, on a Bermuda lawn, you've got 0.83 ounces over a 12-month period, which I guess you could make that work, but you're going to be like prodiamine in the fall, in my opinion, while it can work okay, in the fall, you really need to do a couple of applications for it to really stretch all the way until springtime. So in the springtime, you can get by with like one app, but in the fall, you really want to get one out in September-ish timeframe, and then another one December, like the start of December, right? You really want to get a second app so you can have that coverage that will extend into the spring. So if you do that, unless you're applying it at really low rates in the spring, like, I don't know, like 0.3 per thousand or something like that, you're just not going to have enough of your allocation left to be able to apply it at the rates that are really going to help you get good control in in the fall as far as controlling Poa annua and hand bits, some of the more difficult to control weeds. So the way to avoid all that is just to use a different pre-emergent. Use Prediamine in the springtime or Dimension in the springtime, and go to Spectacle in the fall, and then this problem completely goes away, and you're going to get a better result. So, but to answer your question, you did it last year, so this year is a new year. You can start all over and do that if you want, but I would highly recommend using something different in the fall if you can. And as far as something different, I mean Spectacle Flow. Like, that's what I would go with. It's an awesome product. All right, Dan Lynch is in the show. Is the live stream? What's going on, Dan? Thank you so much for coming by and saying hello. Appreciate you.
Super chat received.
All right, so Dan and Archie gave the same amount. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to have both of you guys up here. So you guys gave the exact same amount. I can't leave Dan out because he'll be like, Ron, what the Hades, man? Why are you doing me like that? So I don't want to deal with drama from either of you guys. So there we go. Our show sponsors are now Archie Amos and Dan Lynch. Both your names in lights, for whatever that means to you. So I appreciate you guys supporting the show. Really does help out. It means a lot. All right, on to our next question. Let me put some Tango Bolero on while I find out where I left off. But guys, now here's the thing. We do have one small problem, okay? We got 98 people in the live stream and only 70 likes. We're an hour into the show. What the what? Come on, we can do better than that. You guys can just move the mouse over, trackpad. Or if you're on your phone, just bring your finger over, just tap the like, tap something. Like, dislike, just give me some kind of engagement. So if you guys could do that while I look for the next question, I'd really appreciate it. And there's no reason why we should not have that number higher. So if you would not have hitting the like button, it would really mean a lot to me. All right. All right. Next up, we have a Coastal Cartel. He's weighing in on the price of Zoysia. He says, yes, here in Southeast VA, Zoysia is $7.50 a pallet. For Xeon, that's what I was looking at, man. I was like, good Lord, man, how do people afford to do their entire line with this stuff? Yeah, Xeon Zoysia is $7.50 a pallet. Granted, this Sod Farm's pallets cover 650 square feet, but yeah, it's not cheap. So Bermuda at under 200 a pallet, that's a bargain. That's pretty good. Okay, Timothy Gonzalez has entered the live stream. He says, hey, Ron, I finally purchased a powered reel, and it'll be here in February. You know what? It's not here yet. We're kind of breaking protocol here, but we'll clap it up for you. We can give you some DAP for the new mower. Because I can't wait to get my hands on it. Have you had any experience with Rolex mowers? A little bit. So I don't know what their current mowers are like. I don't know what their current mowers, how they are, if they made any changes to them. The Rolex that I tried, it's probably been over 2 years at this point now. Whenever Real Rollers was developing what became the Revolution 26, I did not really care for it because the way the handlebars are set up, for me, I just particularly just didn't like that. And because if you put any kind of downward pressure into it, the front roller would come off the turf, which leads to cutting issues. And that was also exaggerated by the fact that the mower, at least the example that I had, again, they may have changed it, they may have made it better, but the example that I had was where the engine sit was a little bit further back. So as far as it's sitting, ideally you want the weight, the mass to be in the center between the front roller and the rear drum. You want it to be as centered as possible so that you're not putting, for the most part, the mower is as even as possible. But the Rolex, it was a bit, at least the one that I used, was a little bit further back. So if you factor in that the center of gravity was a little bit more aft, was a little bit further back, and then you have like the old school bicycle handlebars to where it's really easy to put downward pressure into it and cause the front roller to come up. I didn't really care for it. The thing that was kind of cool about it, like what they do with their reel, where at least the one that I had, like all the grass got thrown, the kind of reel they had, the grass got thrown to the center, which is kind of cool from a fill standpoint, right? Because it kind of fills from the center and kind of slowly builds out. So as far as like having the grass catcher, not having one spot, one side with all the grass and one side without, like that was one thing was kind of cool. But again, I really hate to comment on it because I'm sure the models they're selling now are probably quite a bit different to what the example that I had. For the money, again, based on the mowers I've actually used, if you try to spend under $3,000 on a mower and you want a new mower for that price, like the Revolution 26 is really tough to beat. And I think they have the new 20-inch that's either launched or is about to be launched. Like either one of those are great options. But again, there's people that have Rolexes and I'm sure they like them, and I'm sure that they don't have the problem that I had with as far as it tipping up. So it's probably a me thing. So I'll leave it at that. But if you got your Rolex, man, if you went out and you tested one and you enjoyed it and you liked it, you're going to get a good result with it. The most important thing is keep it sharp, keep it well adjusted, and you're going to be just fine. You're going to get a good result. I have not seen a reel mower that was set up properly, that was kept sharp, that did not produce a cut that most people would be happy with. So good on that, Timothy. Keep us posted as far as how it goes. All right, Ron Lofton, he says, I applied the max rate of Spectacle in September to my Bermuda. Do you apply the max rate of Prodiamine in the spring? I do, Ron. So there's a couple different schools of thoughts on this. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can apply Spectacle. You could do half rate in September and then half rate in December. Like that's one way of doing it that helps extend the coverage a little bit more. Or you can do it a single application in September at the higher end of the application rate for your particular turf grass, because for Bermuda, it's a bit higher. For Centipede and St. Augustine, I believe it's lower. I want to say St. Augustine and Centipede is like 6 ounces per acre, whereas Bermuda, I think you can go up to 10. But again, check the label. Don't quote me on that. That's what I seem to remember the last time I looked at it. Long and short of it is, I've tested both ways, and on my particular lawn, I was fine. Like I've done a single app, it worked great. I've done a split app, also worked great. So really depends on which way you want to go. And as far as the max rate for Bermuda for Prodiamine in the springtime, yes, there are folks that will take Prodiamine, like take that allocation of say 0.83 ounces for Bermuda grass and cut it in half and spray half of it now and say half of it in April, or they'll even do even less than that now and then more in April. I've did that one time, and then the following years, there's probably 4 or 5, maybe even longer years ago now at this point, I did a single application at the higher end of the application rate, and that worked great for me. And I said, you know what? I don't have to go out and spray Pre-emergent twice or twice in the springtime anymore. So it just saves me time. I don't have to mess with herbicides any more than I have to, right? So I do a single for the fall Pre-emergent, depending on how I'm feeling, I may do a single app or a split app. But for the spring Pre-emergent, it's pretty much always one application at the higher end of the application rate. That has worked well for me. So hope that helps, Ron. Great question. Either way will work well. It just really depends on whether or not you want to put out some Pre-emergent in April timeframe. I guess where that might make sense, right? If you were in, say, Florida, maybe South Texas, parts of the country where you have winter, but you really don't have winter, so weeds can be a challenge for a longer part of the year. I could see then more, I could see there'd be more value in like breaking up the applications so you're putting it out in lower amounts, lower rates, multiple times throughout the season. But here in Georgia, where for the most part we've got, our season starts in like late February, early March, and really goes until October, November. Like a single app at the higher rate February timeframe gets ahead of the weeds that begin germinating in March, April, May timeframe, and then your mowing really is going to keep the weeds out of your lawn. So you get into the fall, in which where Poanyu and henbit start to become a problem, and that's when you would do your fall app. So it's really your call. It's not really a religion on it. It's really in many ways your preferences as far as which way works for you. I just don't like to do any more work than I have to as far as that goes, which is why I just do one app in the spring and then normally one app in the fall, but sometimes 2 in the fall. Mainly because I get bored. I don't have anything else to do. But in the spring, I got plenty to do, so I don't want to go spray Pre-emergent again if I don't have to. All right, Jared George is up. He says, I'm not incredibly worried by any means, but do you mind going over the fact that Pre-emergent can, not necessarily will, have an effect on Bermuda stolons latching or being able to tack down? I've heard of this, but not sure. Yeah, that is a thing, but normally, Jared, that's if you over apply it. So again, the thing you heard me say over and over is between the granular and the liquid, doesn't really make a huge difference between the two. Apply them at the correct rate. So look, whatever the rates are on the bag, whatever the manufacturer says, use these rates, use those. I mean, think about it. The manufacturer is in business to make product and to sell said product. So if they're telling you, hey, only use this much of it, when it really, again, they want to sell as much of it as they can. They say use this much because this much is they're going to produce a good result, not damage your grass, not put unnecessarily amounts of herbicides into the environment. Like this is the number. Just stick to that. And as long as you do that, you're not going to have a lot of the weird problems that people tend to have when they overdo it with Pre-emergent. So that is not normally a problem for folks that apply it at the correct rates. If you overdo pre-emergent, you can have some problems with the runners with the stolons not tacking down. But you can also run into other problems as well too. So big thing is just stick to the label rates. All right, Luis Felipe Cornelio is up next. He says, "Hey Ron, thank you for your videos. They help so much. I'm from Brazil and managing 5 football fields. Wow, dude, that's a lot of that's a lot of work. That's cool, man. I appreciate having an audience in Brazil that's watching the content. I'm glad that it's useful. And yeah, that's pretty cool, man. 5 football fields. I can't imagine how much mowing that is, because Brazil, you guys, I mean, I guess it depends on where you are in Brazil. Like you're probably mowing year round, right? There's probably not really much of a downtime. Again, it depends on where in the country you are to that. That's really cool. Really, really neat, man. Thank you for coming by and saying hello. I really appreciate it. All right, John Rob Will is up. He says, "Good evening, Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts. I'm in the middle of a cold winter with cool season lawn, so no lawn chores, but it's always good to tune in so I can stay motivated." Well, here's the thing, John, just put in perspective, at least with a cool season lawn, you probably got some green. All of our lawns are dormant, brown, like hating life. Like we're just sitting here imagining, like we take a look at pictures of overseeded lawns for, for the same thing, for motivation, to realize there's still hope that at one point the color will return to our lawns. So if you have a cool season lawn, you don't really get to complain as much as far as your lawn losing its color entirely, because your lawns still tend to have some color to it, right? But I guess depending on where you are in the country, you got to deal with snow. So there is that. Jocelyn says, "I'm in New Mexico. Thanks for the information. Very helpful." I am glad to hear that, Jocelyn. Sounds good. Demarculus Thompson is up next. He says, "Greetings, Ron. Prepping for 2025. However, I need to get 5 tons of field dirt for the backyard, and the driver put some major cuts in the lawn. Steps to correct, please assist." Okay, so 5 tons are 5 tons. I mean, so we'll say 5 cubic yards. Say 5 cubic yards of material. I guess depending on how bad the ruts are, how bad. I guess you're saying whenever they delivered it, the driver backed all over your lawn and did. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, man. It's just going to be a process. So depending on how bad they are, you may not be able to fix them all in one go. You may, again, like the person that was asking, the gentleman from South Carolina. In your case, you are going to want to get going earlier in the season. So if you're in Georgia, I forget where you are in the country, but if you're, say, in Georgia or somewhere in the Southeast, early May, late April, early May, you want to get going. Like you'll do your top dress then. You'll probably go a little bit heavier then on those areas to help to get ahead of it. And then a second or third top dress as that recovers to help fill in those ruts is what I would say. Fill dirt, or if it's all dirt, that's not the best. I mean, it's gonna help some, but that's not the best medium, the best product to use for leveling. Now, if you're just you're grading the lawn and you're trying to just fill in some areas that are lower than others, and you're just trying to do like some bulk, like contouring, I get it. Like that would be okay for that. But for actual leveling work, it really is beneficial to have some sand in there. So a 70-30 blend, even 100% sand is not bad too. But I mean, you want to have some sand in there as to where when you fix those ruts or those low areas, it's going to stick around, And another benefit to this, why really anyone that's doing a leveling project in their lawn should look to incorporate sand, is drainage. Like a lot of folks will look at their lawns and they'll say, "Oh, I want to," they'll say, I want to level my lawn, put sand down on my lawn because I want it to be smooth. I want to be able to mow low, which is definitely a benefit. But the biggest benefit that I saw, that really probably is more material benefit on my lawn from leveling, from going out and aerating and putting down a nice blend of sand and soil, is drainage. Like you have no idea how much better your lawn will drain once you start putting some sand into that profile. So if you're going to be doing some leveling work, I really would encourage you to get some sand into the mix, because it has so many benefits. Like it does a better job adding structure, so the lawn will actually stay level for the most part. And then as far as drainage, if you got any areas where water pools on your lawn after heavy rain, like that's going to get a lot better if you do like a sand compost blend with your lawn leveling. But as far as the ruts that the driver did whenever they delivered your material, it's just going to be a couple of rounds of top dressing to fix that, man. That's all. This is what it's going to be. So just work at it. It'll get better. It'll get better. All right, next up is Mars Bead. She says, since I planted my tall fescue in October, I'm not able to use pre-emergent in the spring, right? I wouldn't. I mean, you think about everything you've been through, Mars. I mean, you that lawn was like bare dirt. You went through several rounds of seeding to get it to where it is now. And on a cool season lawn, the recommendation really is a year. Is you want to go before you start introducing pre-emergent. So with all the work you put into it, I would really stick to that. I mean, if you wanted to go in at 6 months after applying it, you would definitely want to stay on the lower end of the application rate for your pre-emergent. So say for prodiamine, for cool season grasses, it's like 0.2 ounces or so, somewhere in that area. So that's where you're going to want to be if you decide, do you want to go ahead with it? You want to do that in the springtime, but if you really want to be as conservative and as safe as possible, you want to wait until the fall for pre-emergent. And all that means is if you have a few weeds that come in your lawn, you're going to be pulling them, or you'll be going after them with like some spot sprays with post-emergent herbicide. That's just really it. It's just really, you have to look for yourself, like how good does the lawn look? How well established is it? And then based on that, you can decide. But really, a year is better than going than like say 6 months when it comes to a cool season lawn. Warm season lawn, no problem at all. But cool season lawn, you want to give it a bit more time. All right, Gary Keller Jr. is here. He says, happy Friday, Ron. I got my soil test sent in and started to stock up on some fertilizer, but I am missing something. No SEC playing for the championship. There's a championship? I stopped watching football, man. I'm done. I don't. There's college football? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even realize that's a thing. I guess I just wait till this fall. I thought it started back up this fall. I thought it was already over. But yeah. But yeah, all jokes aside, Gary, it stings. I mean, let me think. Who is it? It's the Buckeyes versus the people that beat. I'm not gonna say their name. The folks that beat Georgia. So I guess for the next whenever, I'm not sure. Here's the thing. I don't even know when it is. Because I stopped. I totally lost interest. But I hope Ohio beats the pants off of them and their gaudy gold helmets, whatever. So I'm a Buckeyes fan for the national championship, whatever it is. So yeah, there's that. I'm not bitter, I promise. I'm really not bitter. All right, next up is Johnny Bravo. He says, how's your neighbor's yard nowadays? He used to be in your videos. It's good, looking good. I mean, he's actually in the live stream. So Alex, if you scroll up, he was in here. He said hello. It's dormant. It's just waiting for springtime or a little bit later in the season to get going. But yeah, it still looks great. He's still real mowing it. Still looks good. It's just hanging out, just waiting for better conditions. And then John Rob Will, he said, I think 007 is prodiamine, right? Yes. In no, it's not really true. 007 is just the analysis, but a lot of pre-emergent products have an analysis of 7% potassium in them. So, case in point, if you look at our store, you go to shop and then weed killer, and you look at pre-emergent, we have 2 007s, right? So like 007 that's got dimension, got dithiopyr as the active ingredient, and then you got a 007 that's got prodiamine as the active ingredient. So 007 does not necessarily mean prodiamine, but it is a common analysis for pre-emergent. So don't think just because you see a 007 means that it's definitely going to be prodiamine. It might be something else. So make sure you read the label and see what the active ingredient is. For the stuff that we carry, it's going to be, you'll see prodiamine or you'll see prodiamine or dimension or dithiopyr. That's the active ingredients. If you're using some of the other products, like say the name brand products, some from Syngenta, you might see Barricade for prodiamine or dimension for dithiopyr. So yeah. So hope that helps, John Rob Will. All 007s are not prodiamine, but a lot of them are some kind of pre-emergent product. Okay. Timothy Gonzalez is up. He says, my pH in the backyard is 8.1, so I'm going to be applying elemental sulfur at 5 pounds per thousand. Would it be better to do it early, or should I wait for the grass to start greening up? Also citric acid at 1 pound per thousand. Yeah, you can get going on that now, Timothy. Some kind of sulfur now would be good, because reason being is this, right? Like, it takes longer for pH adjustments to be reflected in soil test results. If you were trying to build up, say, an acidic a soil, or in your case, take a soil that's more alkaline and bring that pH level down, it can take months for whatever input you're putting in to react with the soil and begin again being reflected in your soil test results. Like I did a test of this like in 2021 where I put out lime, like dolomitic lime in May, the end of May, and then I did testing again in early October, and I saw a notice like the tests show a noticeable movement in the soil pH levels, right? So it takes a bit longer. So to answer your question, I would get it done sooner rather than later. I would get it done now because it's going to take a while for it to adjust, for it to move. All right. Next up is Oliver Rittem. He says, "What's happening, Ron? Thinking about doing some either emerald or Xeon zoysia for the shaded spots. What do you think will look closer to Bermuda?" They both look good, man. I mean, of the two, Xeon is a really nice choice. I was looking at emerald. I can't find emerald around here locally. And then I spoke to the guy. He was one of the not one of the researchers, one of the guys was behind not what I was looking for is like it's a zoysia that's used on a golf course in Texas. It's like LP. What was it called? I forget the name of it. But long and short of it is, I reached out to him, and he, you know what? I'm gonna tell you really quick. I'm gonna find it because I was texting him about it after the fact, so I'll tell you what the name of it was. Like the stuff, like probably the most awesome zoysia if you can get your hands on it. Which I think you're in Texas or Oklahoma area, so you might be able to Trinity. That's what it is. Trinity zoysia. But there's another name for it. It's like it's a I think it's L1F. I think L1F, Trinity L1F is what it's called. Like that stuff is absolutely incredible. But you can't really get it here in Georgia. You might be able to find it in the Texas or Oklahoma area because the course that really made it famous is in Texas, is somewhere in Texas. So you might be able to find Trinity L1F there. That's really cool. The reason why that's nice, Oliver, to an extent, is that for mowing, being real mowed at really low heights, so like for like tee boxes, you're talking like half an inch or even in some cases even lower if you wanted to. Like Trinity L1F is a thing of beauty for that. Outside of that, because again, I reached out to him and he was talking my head off all about it. What he says, well, outside of that, if you can't get L1F, which you can't get it in Georgia because there's no one around here that is growing it, mainly because there's not enough demand for it. The next best thing he would say would be Xeon. And I asked him between emerald and Xeon. He says, yeah, if it were him, Xeon is the one that he would go with. It's going to be a finer blade. The color is nicer. He's overall Xeon is again, his opinion is outside of L1F or Trinity is the one to get, is the Zoysia cultivar to get. So that is, and I can actually find that around here. So that's what I'm going to end up going with. So what I would say is this though, right? I would, if you got a sod farm nearby that has emerald and has Xeon. There's no one around here that has emerald for me, so I can't even go look at it. If you get that has both of them, go look at them and see. And because even if you look at videos on YouTube, the color it doesn't really come through well on video as well. So go look at it for yourself, and then you know what your lawn looks like, your Bermuda part looks like, and you can decide for yourself which one is going to be a better fit. And if while you're there, see if there's any sod farms in your area that have, again, it's called Trinity Zoysia, and I believe the three number code is I think it's Trinity L1F is what it is. Let me see if I can make sure. I think it's L1. I think that's what it is. Yeah, Trinity L1F is the stuff I'm talking about. So I'll send this to you if you care, Oliver. Again. The problem with you is you're going to see this and you're going to be like, oh, I got to have it. That's what it's got to be now, given the kind of person you are. But yeah, look into this as well. I mean, you might not be able to find it, but that's another one to look at as well. Another option. Okay, next up we have Dan Lynch. He says, I am so grateful you told me about Spectacle Flow last fall. 25,000 square feet and 0 Poa annua. 0. Nice. That's what I love to hear. Dan, I tell you, the thing with Spectacle, it's not cheap. It is not cheap. Bear/Enview is quite proud of it, as they should be, because it's an amazing pre-emergent. So you get what you pay for, definitely, when it comes to pre-emergents. And the Spectacle is It's an excellent product, man. It's an awesome, awesome, awesome product. But again, I tried I tried so many different combinations. If you look at my older content, I did prodiamine by itself. I did dithiopyr by itself in the fall. I did coastal, which worked okay, which was like as prodiamine, simazine, and imazaquin. It's like three. It's like two pre-emergent and one post-emergent herbicide. That worked pretty well. That's like almost like a poor man's spectacle flow. Only problem is it doesn't last as long. And then I broke down and I said, you know what? Everyone keeps talking about this stuff and saying it's like, it's the second coming of a weed-free lawn. How good could it possibly be? And I tried it and I was like, oh, well. So, in life, when you're like, this problem has been solved, there's no reason to innovate on this any further. That's what spectacle flow is for worm season turf grass in the fall. Like, you don't need to have to worry about anything else. Like, the only thing I hope and pray is that like the weeds that it controls never really develop any resistance to it. I've never heard of that. I've not heard of that being a problem. So let's just hope and pray that continues to be the case. It doesn't be a problem, but it's for a fall pre-emergent, man. It is incredible. And in my opinion, worth every penny. It's not cheap, but totally worth it. Totally, 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 totally worth it. Especially if you want to keep Poa annua out of your lawn. All right. True Gator says, yeah, so both of them are pre-emergents. One is pendimethalin and one is prodiamine. Okay, cool. All right, next up is Earl West. He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday here in Georgia. Should I scalp, then put out pre-emergent? Or scalp, aerate, then pre-emergent at the end of this month, beginning of February. Okay, so what I would do, I would not aerate just yet. It's too early in the season, in my opinion, for that. Like the lawn is not going to recover. So, but if you wanted to do like a cleanup cut, you don't even do your full scalp, Earl. But if you wanted to if you're planning to scalp this year, which is again completely optional, not everyone does it. If you're going to do that, and you're also applying a granular prodiamine product, I am a fan of thinning things out a little bit prior to putting out the granular, pre-emergent. The aeration, leave that until April timeframe. Really, like late March, early April, when the lawn is really woken up and you're mowing it regularly. That's when you can go ahead and aerate if that's all you're planning to do this season. If you are planning on top dressing, what I would say is wait until when you're going to do your top dressing, so that way you can combine them together. So say, yeah, I'm also going to be leveling my lawn this year. I would say wait till like Mayish time frame to do your aeration, because then on that same weekend you could aerate and then top dress on the same weekend. That's going to get you a better result versus just top dressing a lawn that has not been aerated, and it just saves you from having to do it twice. All right. Next up is Ebony Man 281. Actually, you know what, Earl? I'm gonna say that question. It's a good one. Other folks are gonna have that, so why not make it available for all the folks that are concerned about this problem. All right. Next up, we got Ebony Man 281. He says, Ron, what's your theory on getting rid of Poa annua? I treated my lawn last fall. It's back again. Need a new idea. Okay, so the best way to get rid of Poa annua, my opinion, is to prevent it in the first place. So the stuff to use, assuming you got a warm season lawn, I don't know what kind of grass you have, but if you have a warm season lawn, is Spectacle Flow. This is what you need. This is the product. This is what will keep Poa annua out of your lawn. Amazing product. Not cheap, but worth every penny. And then outside of that, you've got Poa now. Again, assuming you have a warm season lawn, then you're going to be using a post-emergent herbicide like Certainty. So Certainty combined with surfactant, so these two together will control Poa annua. You have to spray Certainty though at the higher rate. So the rate for Certainty against Poa annua is 1.25 ounces per acre on the low end, up to 2 ounces per acre on the high end. What I'll tell you through testing is that the 1.25 ounces per acre, unless it's like really baby Poa annua, ain't gonna do a whole lot. So you want to go with the high rate, the 2 ounces per acre. And what that equates to is, with Certainty, is a measuring spoon. And with said measuring spoon, you'll see there's a big side and a small side. Big side, small side. So 2 large scoops in a gallon of water over 1,000 square feet is the equivalent of that 2 ounce per acre rate. So that's the rate you're going to want to use for Poa annua. 2 large scoops over 1,000 square feet. Make sure you use some surfactant, and that's going to do a really good job cleaning up Poa annua. But again, if you want to, way to really, really deal with Poa is not to have it in the first place, and the way to do that is with Spectacle Flow. But that ship has sailed. We're already past that, so now you're dealing with post-emergent herbicides to be able to clean up the Poa. And if you want Certainty, we have a kit that has Certainty, surfactant, and dye on the Golf Course Lawn Store, which you can get right here, Ebony Man. So what I would tell you, I don't know what you did for pre-emergent. You said you did something last fall. You treated your lawn last fall. I'm not sure what you treated it with, but I will tell you, if you really want to keep POA out of a warm season lawn, just use Spectacle Flow. I mean, it's not cheap, but that bottle is going to last you a long time, and it really is the best product for it. So, so hope that helps. And next up, we have Joseph DeQ, I think. DeQ. He says, he says, hey, Ron, I just bought a used Flex 21 mower. Before we go on, we go first. Clap it up for that. Congrats on the new kit. I like it. And then he says, this weekend I'm getting my reel and bed knife sharpened. I also like that. My question is, where can I purchase merchandise like shirts? You can get them here, Joseph. You can get them here. They are available right here on, not on the Golf Course Lawn Store, but on the company that we partner with to produce the shirts for us. So Joseph DeQ, merch available here. There's a merch store. There we go. All right. Yeah. Okay. Again, congrats on the mower. Designs by Hand LLC. He says, Ron, my man, I am finally taking the plunge. Actually, we're gonna have to read some more dramatic. He says, I'm finally taking the plunge, man. I'm selling my zero turn with 25 hours on it, and I'm putting in my order for my Revolution Tech next week to catch the sale. It'll be my first time as a real mower owner. First of all, clap it up for that, man. That's pretty awesome. Congrats, I think. So here's the only thing Designs by Hand LLC I question. So you had a zero turn, which leads me to believe you had a larger property, because most people that have zero turns don't have small lawns, they have bigger lawns. So the only thing I would say is make sure you account for the fact that it's going to take you longer to cut the lawn using the Revolution or any kind of push mower, regardless what it is, than your zero turn will. So that's the only thing you have to really, take into account. But as far as quality of cut, it's going to be a night and day. I mean, it's going to be incredible. So congrats, man. It's a great mower. I think for the money, they're really hard to beat. I hate to even say it that way, because it's not like for the money they're hard to beat. Just it's a good mower. Like, the design is great, the mower cut's great. It's got a lot of good stuff going for it. So yeah, Lee and the team did a really good job with that piece of equipment. So yeah, I think you're gonna love it. And then your zero turn, 25 hours on it. It's just barely broken in, man. But I get it. Yeah, as long as you have the time, real mowing is going to produce the cut quality is second to none. But it's the big thing you always have to account for is the amount of time commitment that it takes to really produce, that quality cut. Because it's not like cutting a lawn at 2 inches anymore. Like, now you're going to be living on that life of really an inch or lower is where you need to be, if you really want it to look nice. So yeah. All right. Next up, Joseph DeQ says, Ron, have you ever used Heritage SC fungicide before? I have not, and here's why. So Heritage is another fungicide that is put out by Syngenta, right? So you have, I may have a bunch of them, but there's in the class you're thinking about, you got Heritage and you got Headway. So Heritage is azoxystrobin, I believe, is only azoxystrobin, whereas Headway is azoxystrobin and propiconazole. So for me, I see no, that's why we don't even carry it on the store, because really as far as fungicides go, like, everything that Heritage controls, Headway will control. The only benefit that you really would get of Heritage over Headway is that because there's only one fungicide, there's only one active ingredient, it's going to be a little bit less expensive. But really, given the fact that with fungicides, if we're doing it preventatively, which is what I really recommend, we're trying to do all we can to prevent a problem in the first place. I see no reason to use a product that controls less disease than one that controls more. So that's why we don't carry Heritage. I am familiar with it. Like, years ago when Syngenta sent me all the fungicides, they sent me Heritage as well. And it's like half of Headway. That's the best way to think of it, right? So they keep carrying it because there's some people that just really like Heritage, and it's a good product, but in my opinion, there's not really much of a scenario where I would reach for a bottle of Heritage over Headway. So that's why we only carry Headway. All right, and you said it's a bit more affordable than Pillar, but same thing. You're comparing two different things. So whereas heritage is again, I think it's azoxystrobin, but it's only one active ingredient. Whereas Pillar SC, you can think of Pillar SC, even though they're different manufacturers, you can think of Pillar SC as a liquid variant or liquid version of Headway to an extent, right? In the sense that they are both, like the fungicides that are in them are in the same families. So they're both dual fungicide products. So Headway has azoxystrobin and propiconazole in it, and Pillar is pyraclastrobin and then tritaconazole. So they've got two ingredients in Pillar. So you can't really compare Pillar and Heritage. They're different classes of products. Like one is a dual, like multiple modes of action, but much superior product in my opinion, versus one that is strictly just azoxystrobin. So you can't, there's a reason why it costs less. I guess what I'm trying to say. You're not comparing things that are the same. They're not really, you're comparing apples to oranges. All right, next up we got Gavin Moore. He says, hey Ron, I bought several bags of Scott's crabgrass preventer for $1 each. Okay, sounds like man, can't beat $1 each. I have Kentucky bluegrass overseed last fall. Would be okay to put this out in February or March. I'm in the transition zone. It depends, man. So you said you overseeded, so it wasn't like you did a full renovation where you were like what Mars Bees did, where she established a fescue lawn from pretty much bare dirt, right? To where the entire lawn was grown from seed. In your case, you put out some grass seed because you're just trying to thicken the lawn up a bit. And I guess the question I would ask you is, like, how did the lawn look prior to you overseeding? In other words, a lot of people just overseed just because it's a thing they do, but it's not strictly always necessary. If the lawn was in pretty good shape before the overseed, then you might then you doing a pre-emergent in the in your case February is probably a bit early, but say March would likely be okay. If you're doing pre-emergent, it's likely going to have a negative, or has the potential to have a negative result against the new grass, the freshly overseeded grass. But the lawn that's been there for years will tolerate it just fine. So it depends on you. It depends on how the lawn looked prior to overseeding, and you have to weigh the benefits, right? You know, are you willing to risk potentially? Here's the thing: it's not guaranteed that it's gonna damage it, but are you looking to risk the potential that it could potentially damage the relatively young grass that you overseeded last fall, for the benefit of not having to fight with weeds throughout the majority of the season? Or are you saying, nope, my lawn was pretty much largely bare and the overseed fixed it and it looks a lot better now? So overseed, my lawn was like 20% dirt, or say it was like 20% grass and 80% dirt. And then I overseeded it and now it looks amazing. In a case situation like that, I wouldn't use pre-emergent in the springtime because you take a real chance of potentially, if you overdo it with the application rate, you take a real chance of potentially, stunting or causing damage to that grass you put a lot of time into getting to grow in. So it really depends. If the lawn was looking pretty good in October, or October, September, whenever you did your fall overseed, then a spring one would be fine. If it was not, then I would wait. So it depends, man. It really depends on how things were looking at the time of the overseed, is what I would tell you. All right, John Rob Will says, yes, sir, I'm currently under snow with some, I don't see the rest of it, but you're under snow. You just say no more. Say less. So say no more, John. It's all there is to it. Emmanuel Jacobs is part 2. Where was the part 1? Did I miss your first part, Emmanuel? I don't see it. Maybe, I'm not sure what happened. Okay, anyway, this is part 2, or should I wait until the next growing season? Sorry if I triggered your PTSD. Part 1. I think it came out of order. He says, hey, Ron, I have a couple of broken sprinkler heads because of some... We're not going to know the whole story, are we? I have a couple of broken sprinkler heads because of someone else. That someone else might live in my house, might be a delivery person, whatever. But name's going to stay out of this to protect the innocent. Will digging up and replacing the sprinkler heads kill the Bermuda while dormant? No, it will not. It'll look ugly, and it'll grow in fine whenever when springtime comes around. So to answer your question, can you replace sprinkler heads when a lawn is dormant? Yes, I did it. It all runs together. I think I did the ones in the front last winter. So yeah, the ones in the back have been fine. The ones in the front I did last winter, and it looks fine. Lawn is fine. So yes, you can actually replace them now if you want to. And then question 2 is, or should I wait until the next growing season? Sorry if I triggered your PTSD. No, I mean, you can. Either way, man. It's just know that the area, like the little donut that you dig up of sod that you take out and flop over to dig out and replace a sprinkler head, like it's gonna look like that until March, April timeframe. But outside of that, that's really the only downside. You know, it's if you want to wait till a little bit later, you know, as we get closer to the season, you can. But if you have time now and you want to get it done now, there's no reason to not do that. I did exactly that. I believe last winter for all the sprinkler heads in the front lawn, and it was absolutely fine, no problem at all. So no issues there, Emmanuel. Let me know which way you decide to go, and you know, right now you don't have anything else to do, right? So it'd be not a bad time to consider doing an irrigation head replacement. All right, Mars Beads is up next. Is great, thanks. Just wanted to double check. No worries, Mars. Next up is Brian Baldino. He says, just dropped in for a sec. He says, hope you are enjoying 2025. It's nice to take a break from my lawn for the winter. I really needed the rest. Well, break's only going to be not much longer, Brian. Don't you worry. I mean, we are, you know, cooler, warmer weather is on its way here, so don't get too comfy. Higgy Pop is up next. He says, happy Friday, all. Let's hit the like button. It's free. I appreciate that, Higgy. And then next up is Harper's Knitter. He says, I have a big bag of the Andersons ready to go. It's been by the front door for a month. It's too heavy for me. I love the Andersons granule size. It blows me away every time I use it. Great for pets too. Nice. Very, very cool. I'm guessing you're talking about like their biochar product, like whatever it's called. I think it's Humichar, whatever it is. But yeah, cool. I'm glad that you got some granular biostimulants. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of those products. All right. Next up is Ruben Texuria. He says, hey Ron, I was always wondering, is your website all your own fertilizer? Or is your all fertilizer materials? I don't know what you mean. If they are, no, so in other words, I do not make any fertilizer, if that's what you're asking. No, we don't manufacture fertilizer. We get it from vendors that we partner with. So yeah. So our fertilizers are not we don't make our fertilizers. Not like I don't have like a fertilizer manufacturing facility. Actually, and the thing is, very few, believe it or not, like the truth of the matter is very few companies or even like online retailers that you see that have fertilizers that have, even if it has their label on it, they don't necessarily manufacture it. Like for example, if you look at our fertilizers, like our liquids that we released last year, like these guys, which we're very proud of, these two, the Golf Course Lawn, the 22-3, and the micronutrient, this guy here, like both these guys, they are both manufactured for us by the Andersons. Hence, you see their label right there, right? So the Andersons, we got with them in when is it? We're in 2025, so 2023. So when we started talking about it and working on it, and they sent me multiple samples, and we tested it for a little over a year, and yeah, and so this is made for us by the Andersons, right? And same thing, like if you look at like the carbonized PN that we carry, that is made for us by Miramichi Green. If you look at products that are made by like a lot of the products that, let's say like Site One, even Site One Lesco carries, like if you look at the Carbon Pro G, that is manufactured by Miramichi Green for them. So again, there are some companies that make that manufacture fertilizer, but they are few because it's an expensive process. The expensive process, the machinery is expensive, and so a lot of what you see online will be blends that are bespoke, that are custom for that particular retailer, but they are made by typically someone else. So I'm not sure if that's what you're asking, Ruben, but yeah. Our liquid fertilizers are made by the Andersons. Our biostimulants are made by Miramichi Green. So, and that's pretty apparent if you look at any labels. The labels will tell you exactly who makes it. All right. He says, why is the fertilizer so expensive? Because magic ain't cheap, I guess. You know, I mean, if you think about it, like if you got fertilizer that, I'll show you an example. If you look at well, we can do a little show and tell. If you look at a fertilizer, like we'll look at three different options, right? So you have option one, which is this is like your standard, I'd say your standard fertilizer. If you went and looked at even fertilizer you get from some online retailers and even the ones you find in the big box store, a lot of it will look like this, right? This is like a 210 SGN or size guide number or a standard prill size. So for reference, this is the tip of a pen, and you can see how that compares. I don't know if I have autofocus on, but I'm not sure. You can see how this compares, right? Next up, you've got Humic Max, which is the first fertilizer we started carrying from Lebanon Turf. This is 150 SGN fertilizer. This would be good for, again, golf course lawns, real mode lawns, tee boxes on golf courses, pretty much anywhere where you have finely manicured turf. So you can see the size of this, and you can see the size of this. Much, much, much finer. And actually, you know what? Because this isn't focusing, I can actually show you on the store. This is pretty easy to see because these are quite large. But if you were to go, if you were to go to the golf course lawn store and we'll look at Humic Max, and I think I've got a picture showing the prill size, right? So yeah, so if you look at this prill size, I mean, this is quite a bit smaller, quite a bit finer. I mean, just holding them up than what a standard prill is. Now, why does that matter? It matters for a couple of reasons. For anyone that's real mowing their lawn, what you will find is you'll apply this, and you'll often see these prills or granules all over the lawn. They take longer to break down. The mower picks some of them up, and then ultimately it just takes longer for the product to begin working because it takes longer for this to get in the soil. This is much finer. Literally, you'll apply Humic Max, and the first few times I apply, like literally, you have to make sure you're walking in good lines because you're not going to be able to see the fertilizer once you put it out. Like you apply it and it disappears. It falls right through the canopy to the soil where it can begin working, which is what you want. And then next up, you've got our greens grades fertilizers, which is like the 14714 and the 12024. So back to show and tell. This is Humic Max, which again is very fine. But if we go back and look at the complete 14714, it gets even finer. So that's a dime, and that's the prill for perspective. That really shows you, like, compared to a dime, how fine it is. So this is almost like a powder that you're putting out. So as far as if you had a golf green, or again, even a lawn, if you have a tall fescue lawn, or you have a real mowed lawn, or just a standard Bermuda lawn, this is going to get into the soil and begin working faster than this, which is going to get in the soil and work faster than this. So creating this at a consistent level is not cheap, or this is not cheap. It's not cheap to do. Also, the slow release nitrogen that Lebanon uses, like they call it Mesa, that's their branding for it. Like all the little blue dots that you see in here, which again are not really showing up well here, but I can show you in the picture on the store for Humic Max. All of those are their Mesa, which is their slow release fertilizer technology. And it's unlike a lot of fertilizers like this, it's a homogeneous prill. So what does that mean? What does it mean when it's a homogeneous prill? It means that throughout the entire prill, like the product is exactly the same. They're not relying on coatings for the slow release to work. Like for less expensive fertilizers, like again, this is a good example. What you'll find is they will simply put a coating around the actual fertilizer, or the actual nitrogen, or whatever the nutrient happens to be, and then as that coating wears through being watered, through temperature, then it slowly will release, right? But the problem is that if you ever run over one of these, like one of these prills that are coated with like a mower, like a real mower or a rotary mower, and it cuts it, then it's no longer slow release. Like it's going to release right then. Whereas with the Mesa, the technology that Lebanon uses in both Humic Max and also in their greens grade prills, doesn't really matter. You can slice it, dice it however you want. It doesn't affect the release rate of the fertilizer. So all of that adds up to a product that is superior, in my opinion. And you look at the reviews on the store, and also look at the lawns that we've helped create across the country using these products. And it's just not cheap to do it. So between the cost of actually manufacturing the products and then shipping it to your door, that's why they cost what they cost. So just depends on if it's for you or not. But they are incredible products, and they are not cheap. They're not cheap, and they never will be cheap. They never will be inexpensive, because they are not. You can't compare them to what most people think about when they think about a granular fertilizer. It is the champagne of fertilizers as far as granular fertilizers go. So hopefully that helps. All right, next up we have next up we have designs. What is this? He says, I only use the zero turn for my backyard, and I use the Honda walk behind for the front. I'm retired and kept my yard at 1.5 inches, cutting every 2 to 3 days until August. Okay, cool. So you're already used to mowing it a couple times a week, so that's fine. So good. But you didn't tell me how big. You said so you use the zero turn for the back, but I mean, how big of a back lawn are we talking here? Are we talking 5,000, 10,000 square feet, 25,000 square feet? So that's what I'm talking about. It's not so much like where you're cutting with it, it's like how big of an area are you mowing is more what I'm thinking about designs. But you know what? If you have the time, it's no biggie. All right. Next up, Gavin Moore says, Ron, my lawn looks pretty good. Yeah, so I mean, if it looks good and if it looks good, fairly decent in the fall, and you want to go out and use pre-emergent, then you could do so. What I'd say, just to even be a bit more conservative, is whatever product you decide to go with, stick to the lower end of the application range. If they say you can do, between 1/2 ounce and 1 ounce, stick closer to the 1/2 ounce rate. Like say a bit lower on the range, just to be safe. Is what I would tell you. All right, Terrence Stamp is up next. He says, "Hey, boss. Hope all is well. Enjoying the very cold weather coming my way in PA. Why do you like cold weather, man? I'm from the Caribbean, so I don't get cold weather. But I guess if you like it, that's cool, Terrence. I'm glad someone is not is like someone likes cold weather. It's like, here's the thing. I have like friends that tell me, hey man, we should go skiing. I'm like, man, look, I already do martial arts. Why do I need to think of another way to get injured? Like most of you guys, y'all go skiing, you come back with like knee issues. I'm not trying to do that. Plus, to ski, you must leave a warm house and go into the outside where it's cold, and then you'll fall and you get wet and you'll be no. Nope, not gonna happen. All right. And then next up, we got Ruben. He says, thanks for explaining the fertilizer information. Magic ain't cheap. I like that. That's it. I should put that on the back or in the description. Why is it, maybe in the Q&A, why do the fertilizers cost what they cost? Because magic ain't cheap. That's why. All right. And then Designs by Hand LLC. He says, I sent you a picture of my yard before real mowing when you get the chance. Oh, I think you got a picture. Let me see here. You sent me a bunch of pictures. Can I get any of these here? Okay, guys. So whenever you send pictures, if you can, please, pretty please, if you can, send them in landscape. So turn your phone like sideways because it makes it easier for me to get them on the store. But we got a little time. We're at the end of the show right now. We're winding down, so I can show you guys. We can take some time here and take a look at these. Let's see, designs. We'll call it designs. You have to have your own folder because all these pictures you sent. All right. So, okay. Well, man, you ain't got like a drone. You know what? Here's the thing. I got some respect on you, and you went out and got a drone shot of this. So, I take it all back. Let's see here. There is, okay. So that I'm not sure what that picture is. We don't need that one, but this and this. Okay, cool. So, picture one, being cut with a zero turn. Overall, I think it looks pretty good, man. I mean, obviously you can tell you put a lot of love in the lawn, and that looks good. I mean, most folks would not complain about that. It looks good. It looks like here's the thing what's good about this Designs by Hand LLC is that you were not trying to make that zero turn do what it is not designed to do. Like you were not trying to get ridiculous with the height of cut. Overall, that looks pretty good. And the lawn doesn't look, I can't see how far away you are. I'm sure if you're standing at the fence, but if so, that's not going to be bad to real mow, man. That's not so big that you're going to hate life when it comes. Yeah, I got another picture here. You're going to hate life when it comes to real mowing that. So overall, I like it, man. Overall, looks really good. Looks really good, and good job, man. Your lawn is keeping its color along that fence line, which is really nice, really nice. And he sent us some drone shots here, so we can show that off to the folks. Yeah. So hang on. So you're gonna real mow all of it, right? Not just the back lawn. You got to remow the front too. That looks good. I see your stripes. Let's see here. We got another picture. Let me see. You got, man, what is this hat you're wearing? Is that orange? Is that, you're a Vols fan? Man, look, I thought but you like real mowing and your lawn looks so nice. What? I guess. Yeah, but anyway, man, thanks for sending the drone shot. It looks good. I'm not sure if that's the line between your lawn and the neighbor's lawn. You can see the definite difference in color, like on the right, nice dark green, on the left, less. I mean, this looks nice, but you can tell like less love. And that orange, man, it really stands out. You need some red. You need some red and black, man. Some red and black in your life. It's okay. We'll let it go. But thanks for sending the pictures, designs by hand. The lawn already looks good. You're starting from a really good spot. What I'll tell you is this, okay? When you go to the real mower, because let's look at your back lawn here again. I'm not sure what height of cut you said. You said you're at 1.5 inches cutting every couple of days. Okay, so what I would tell you is this. When you get your real mower, you're going to be tempted, especially get on like forums and read, you get on like Facebook groups or whatever. Folks are going to be telling you, man, take it down, take it down to 3/4 of an inch and just go at it, right? Here's what I would say. Until the lawn is level, because I don't know how even this lawn is, I believe the Revolution will do like 1.25 inches, maybe a little bit taller. But what I would say is, let's be a bit conservative on how we start out. So start out at like 1.25 inches, on the higher side of the cutting range, and just see how the lawn looks, how it's accepting it. The first time you cut the lawn lower, it is not going to look great. So I just want you to be prepared for that. It's going to look like you're going to have some scalping showing up here and there. Overall, it's just not going to look as good. But you stick with it. Within 2 weeks, it's really gonna start coming around, and you're really gonna see the benefits of real mowing, especially if you're doing it every few days, like what you're talking about. So I'd say start a little 1.25 inches, and you can work your way down. And what you will eventually do, because eventually it's gonna happen, is whenever you decide to go out and do like a top dressing project, and level it and get it all smoothed out, then you can start entering like that 3/4 of an inch life. That's where it's going to be. That's where really, I think real mowing really shines. Like you get that golf course, that fairway look. The color is nice, the striping is nice, and it really helps the lawn. Like the lawn will stand out on your street even more once you get it under 1 inch height of cut. But unless you're willing to tolerate it looking ugly, I would say work your way down to that. And especially if the lawn isn't really smooth, just realize that just because you're getting a real mower, while they do scalp less by their design, especially like the Revolution is not gonna scalp a ton. Just realize that if the lawn is not smooth and you try to go down to like 5/8, you are likely to have some scalping, because you gotta fix those areas. But as far as like at the same height of cut as your rotary, the real mower will produce a better cut with less scalping. That's what you should see. So just work your way down and enjoy it. Enjoy the process. We're gonna work on you. Eventually, we're gonna see about getting you to be. I can't even say about being a Georgia fan, because we were trash this year. We lost to those people up north. But yeah, man. Overall, thanks for sending the pictures. I really do appreciate it. Really looks good. Lawn looks awesome. And again, congrats on the new mower. You're really gonna enjoy real mowing, especially since it sounds like you have the time to do it. Well, guys, gals, that is all that we have for this evening. We've gone for 2 hours. I see no more questions, so I think that's where we're gonna have to end it. So the big takeaways as far as things you should be thinking about doing this time of year is, if you have not yet gotten a soil test, pick one up. We got like multiple sizes by themselves with the probe tool, whatever you happen to need. Get a soil test done. It's one of the best investments you can make in your lawn care program for this season. And then outside of that, get your pre-emergent done. Like, do those two things. Get a soil test. You can get your fertilizers that you will need for the lawn based on your soil test results. You can also get your pre-emergent out. It's like one of the, outside of soil testing, like as far as keeping weeds out of your lawn, like you think of it, put it this way: what soil testing is to your fertilization program, pre-emergent is to your weed control program. So they are things that are often overlooked and not, kind of like people just don't put as much value into them as they should. But they are well worth what you get from them, especially the cost. So highly recommend it. Get some pre-emergent on your lawn and get a soil test done. We carry them on the Golf Course Lawn Store. Would love to have the opportunity to earn your business and support. And yeah, so enjoy the weekend, guys. We have some cold weather coming in. Be safe out there. And we will see you guys next week. So here's the thing, guys. On the show for next week, I have a conflict. So the show's actually going to be earlier in the week. It's probably going to be, I believe, Wednesday. Probably Wednesday evening is when the show is going to be. Maybe we'll pop in over the weekend and we'll see. But really, it's looking like Wednesday night is when the show is going to be for next week. So don't be too shocked if you see it's scheduled a little bit earlier. It's just going to be for next week, and then we'll be back to our normally scheduled time of Friday nights. And hopefully we'll see some of you guys then. Again, be safe out there. Watch football. Be safe and have an amazing weekend. And we'll talk next week. Take care.